Now, let us consider the advantages and benefits of Calibra Cements, as well as some suggestions for possible sales negotiations with customers. The three Calibra versions, Ceram, Universal, and Veneer, have some product advantages in common, while some others are specific. Let us first take a look at the shared advantages. The first and perhaps most important advantage is in the tack curing or extended gel phase of up to 10 seconds, provided by all Calibra cements. But what does tack curing of cement and gel phase mean? When an indirect restoration is cemented, excess is created, which exudes from the gap between the restoration and tooth preparation. This excess must be removed by the dentist. The cleanup cannot be performed as long as the cement has a fluid consistency. With resin cements, the excess is therefore often light cured for a few seconds using the polymerization lamp. The cement excess is converted to the so-called gel phase by this short tack curing, an intermediate state between fluid and solid. Excessive curing of the cement excess is critical. Even when exposed to light for slightly too long, cement excess can become so firm that it can only be removed using a burr. Gingiva, restoration, and adjacent teeth, however, would inevitably be damaged during cement removal. On the other hand, cement excess is very easily removed in its gel phase. It is removed using dental floss in the interproximal region and using a dental instrument such as a probe in the buccal and lingual region, as can be seen in this picture. The special feature of Calibra cements, Ceram, Universal, and Veneer is that they also reach their gel phase after up to 10 seconds light curing, meaning that they can be easily cleaned. We would like to illustrate how long some key competitors' products can be light cured without becoming so firm that they can no longer be cleaned up easily. Firstly, we will look at Calibra in comparison with Multilink Automix from Ivoclar Vivident. After 2 seconds, both products are still in their gel phase, even though Multilink has already clearly solidified. Calibra is still easy to remove after 5 seconds exposure. In contrast, Multilink is already so solid that it can no longer be cleaned up using an instrument. Calibra, on the other hand, is still in the gel phase after up to 10 seconds exposure. Now a comparison between Calibra and Reliax Ultimate. After 2 seconds exposure, Calibra is easy to clean as expected. Reliax Ultimate, in contrast, is already no longer separable using an instrument. Here is the result after 5 seconds exposure. Reliax is completely solid. Please note how much force is applied to the probe. Let us now see how we can probe for stress-free cleanup, the requirement for this feature. Here is a sample sales call as an example of how that could work. Let us now see how we can probe for stress-free cleanup, the requirement for this feature. Here is a sample sales call as an example of how that could work. Doctor, are you using resin cements to place indirect restorations?
Indeed. I use resin cements for many cases.
Do you tack cure to facilitate cleanup of excess cement?
I do. It saves me a lot of time.
If you failed to meet the tack cure window of your product and consequently overcured the excess cement, what would happen?
Well, that would be a disaster scenario. I would have to clean up with a burr and thus damage the restoration, gingiva, and sound tooth structure.
I understand. Would you find a resin cement helpful that offers an expanded tack cure window of up to 10 seconds? Incidentally, due to their dual curing characteristics, Calibra Ceram and Calibra Universal cements form a gel phase without tack curing with light, and in fact, it forms approximately 1 to 2 minutes after application. In this case, the gel phase lasts for approximately 45 seconds. With many competitor cements, in contrast, the gel phase only forms after 3 to 4 minutes, and at about 30 seconds is shorter. This results in a longer waiting time and less time to clean. Give your customers the opportunity of trying and comparing Calibra's extended gel phase for themselves. The gel phase demo tool, which you have just seen in some short videos, is available on the sales compass for this purpose. Together with your customer, dispense a sample of Calibra. Light cure it and compare the Calibra gel phase with the cement currently used by your customer. This great hands-on tool for demonstrating the Calibra cementation procedure and its easy cleanup feature is available from Infinident, Germany. Infinident is a Dentsply Sirona company that supplies high-precision, superior quality products around CAD/CAM technology. Infinident offers pinned models and crowns, suitable for cementation with Calibra Universal. Please note that the models are made from resin. In order to demonstrate the easy cleanup, it is advisable not to apply an adhesive to the preparation, as it would create a bond between the cement and gingiva. This will make demonstration of the gel phase feature more difficult. Hence, only Calibra Universal should be used with this tool. Please note the partial arch is reusable and thus a one-time investment. If you are talking about the extended gel phase of Calibra cements, don't forget to point out the following to your customers. Excess cement should be tack cured on the buccal and lingual aspects of the tooth. The proximal areas of a natural crown are, however, accessible to light from both sides. It is better to keep the polymerization lamp moving to guide it along the excess and light cure for no longer than 5 seconds, in particular buccally and lingually. Another aspect to note is the type of polymerization lamp. It is important to know in this connection that 2 different so-called initiators are used in Calibra cements for activating curing, namely camphorquinone and acyl phosphine oxide. These 2 substances react to 2 different wavelength ranges of light. Camphorquinone is matched to the use of blue LED light between wavelengths of 440 and 480 nanometers. Acyl phosphine oxide, on the other hand, reacts to light with a wavelength of up to approximately 400 nanometers or less, as emitted in particular by older generation light curing units, so-called halogen lamps. Monowave LEDs, which emit light with a wavelength of 440 to 480 nanometers, for example, Smart Light Focus from Dentsply Sirona, are tailored to the camphorquinone initiator. Polywave LEDs, in contrast, emit light in a much greater wavelength range and can therefore also activate other initiators in addition to camphorquinone, for example, acyl phosphine oxide. This results in accelerated curing of Calibra cements and a shorter gel phase. Important polymerization lamps that are compatible and those that shorten the gel phase are listed here. Please note that this list is not complete. A comprehensive list of curing lights can be downloaded from the Sales Compass. Common to all 3 resin cements is shade-stable chemistry that contains no typical benzoyl peroxide amine initiating system, which would cause yellowing over time. This virtually eliminates shade shifts of the Calibra cement on aging. In a test on shade stability, samples of a range of resin cements were prepared and light cured. The aged samples were stored in 37 degrees Celsius distilled water for 24 hours and 60 degrees Celsius distilled water for 8 weeks. The comparison of aged versus unaged samples show significant discoloration of some of the competitor cements. There is only very slight alteration of the shade of Calibra. We will now discover whether our customer considered a cement with enhanced shade stability beneficial. Doctor, do you use resin cements to place indirect restorations?
Indeed, I place many highly aesthetic all-ceramic restorations like inlays, onlays, or veneers, which require adhesive cementation.
Does shade stability matter in context with those restorations?
It does. The more translucent the aesthetic restorations are, the more a discolored cement can negatively impact my result long term.
So can shade shift of the cement create patient dissatisfaction?
Yes, and in a worst case, I would need to replace the restoration.
I see. Would you be interested to hear about a resin cement with superior shade stability? Another advantage provided by both Calibra Ceram and Calibra Universal is the fast buildup of high bond strength in the pure self-cure mode. Before we look into bond strength test data, you should know how bond strength is actually measured. The most common test method is the so-called shear bond strength test. With this test, a resin cement sample is bonded to a tooth surface. The cement sample is sheared off the surface by means of a blade positioned perpendicular to the tooth cement interface. A computer-connected test device increases the force applied in a controlled manner until the cement sample comes off. Please note that bond strengths to enamel and dentin can produce different results and must therefore be considered separately. The test results are always mean values based on repeated measurements. The bond strengths of Calibra Ceram and Calibra Universal are shown in the following illustrations in different scenarios, and in comparison with key competitors. All cements examined have been used exclusively in the self-curing mode. Let us first look at the performance of Calibra Ceram. Displayed are shear bond strengths in megapascal achieved by our product and competitors Reliax Ultimate and Multilink Automix. Prime & Bond active adhesive was light cured, while Scotch Bond Universal and Multilink primers A and B were not, as per manufacturer's instructions. Please note that Multilink cannot be used in an etch and rinse mode. As mentioned, all cements were self-cured. The specimens were debonded after 6 minutes. The bond of self-adhesive cements without light curing develops much slower. In such scenarios, buildup of the bond strength in the long term is therefore of particular interest. How fast does the bond strength of Calibra Universal build up? Generally, bond strengths for self-adhesive resin cements are somewhat lower than those obtained with adhesive resin cements. However, compared to competitors' self-adhesive cements, Calibra Universal builds up bond strength continuously and fast. After 6 minutes, Calibra Universal has developed a bond strength of around 5 megapascals. 1 hour after placement, the bond strength exceeds 8 megapascals, and 12 megapascals after 24 hours. Reliax Unicem and Maxem Elite build up bond strength much more slowly. Their final bond strength after 24 hours is also significantly less. For the sake of completeness, the bond strengths of Calibra Universal are again shown on this bar chart, though this time not only on dentin, but also on enamel. You can see that the final bond strength of Calibra Universal is superior to that of competitors, particularly on dentin. Dentists often recommend patients not to fully or only to carefully load restorations for several hours after fitting. Find out whether your customer would find a cement beneficial that already produces a loadable bond to the tooth structure after much less time. Doctor, which cement do you use for indirect restoration placement?
I use a resin cement.
After placement, how much time do you recommend your patients to wait before loading the restoration?
I recommend waiting for several hours. I want to make sure the cement has had enough time to set, especially in self-cure mode.
I see. Does the final bond strength also matter?
It does. High bond strength enhances restoration survival.
I understand. Would it help to have a resin cement with high final bond strength that builds up fast? Faster buildup of bond strengths is one thing. Guaranteeing it long-term is another matter. An efficient cement should not only produce a reliable bond initially, but ensure it long-term. Studies by the University of Alabama in the United States have shown that Calibra reliably retains restorations, even after simulated aging. After 10,000 cycles of so-called thermal shock stress, in which crowns cemented to tooth structure are stressed by temperature fluctuations between 5 and 55 degrees Celsius, the crowns were removed from their dies and the force required to remove them measured. The cemented crowns were fabricated using the silicate, respectively, glass ceramic Celtra Duo from Dentsply Sirona and IPS Emax from Ivoclar Vivident. Calibra Ceram and competitors' products Multilink Automix and Reliax Ultimate were used for cementation according to the instructions for use. Calibra Ceram showed superior results in combination with IPS Emax, but with Celtra Duo in particular. Incidentally, the bar in the middle, indicated by an asterisk, shows the result of the test for samples in which our prime and bond adhesive was actively light-cured through the crown. Comparably high bond strength is also created in this scenario. If you already have some experience in the sale of restorative products, in particular adhesives and cements, then you are probably aware that, up to now, a third component was required for the application of dual-curing adhesive cements, namely the so-called self-cure activator. Thanks to their modern, innovative chemistry, this is no longer required for Calibra Ceram and Prime and Bond. The self-cure activator can be omitted, another customer benefit. Please note, Calibra Ceram can also be used in combination with other adhesives of the Prime and Bond brand. For example, Prime and Bond XP. In these cases, however, the self-cure activator must still be used. The adhesive layer must be cured in any case. Calibra Veneer is the product of choice for placing veneers. It has been successfully on the market since 2005 and is a reliable material for purely light-curing cementation of highly aesthetic anterior restorations. Calibra Veneer is complemented by the shade-optimized try-in pastes. Try-in pastes are used to check the impact of the cement shade on the overall aesthetics before placing the veneers permanently. The shade reproduction of Calibra Veneer try-in pastes has been optimized to produce an even more reliable aesthetic match. An optimum treatment outcome can thus be achieved with even greater certainty. Remember the influence of the cement shade on the treatment outcome, and therefore the satisfaction of the patient should not be underestimated, particularly in the anterior region. The complete Calibra Veneer kit is shown in the picture. It contains both the actual cements and the try-in pastes, in all available shades. The veneers are coated with the try-in paste that seems most suitable and tried in. The try-in pastes do not cure. The veneers are therefore easily removed from the tooth after try-in. While we are on the subject of shades, all Calibras are available in 5 different shades: light, medium, translucent, opaque, and bleach. Let us finish by summarizing the customer advantages and benefits. Most importantly, Calibra Ceram, Universal, and Veneer offer a tack cure window of up to 10 seconds, which ensures stress-free cleanup. The shade-stable chemistry helps avoid shade shifting over time. Calibra Ceram and Universal build high bond strength fast, which is especially relevant when used in self-cure mode. Thanks to its innovative formulation, Calibra Ceram can be used without a self-cure activator. Calibra Veneer has provided proven clinical performance for more than a decade. Don't forget about the upgraded, all-new try-in pastes. I would like to remind you that the full sales and marketing collateral on the Calibra cement range is available on Dentsply Sirona Sales Compass. Simply browse to www.compass.dentsply.de and enter Calibra into the search bar. Please ask your manager how to get access to Dentsply Sirona Sales Compass if you don't have it yet. This is the end of the training presentation. Thank you for being so attentive. Dentsply Sirona Restorative would like to wish you all the best when selling Calibra resin cements.